Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel, and today I'm going to show you guys how I took my client from looking like this to this. We did all white acrylic toes with a little bling. So you guys know the very first thing I always do is clean up the cuticle area with this small cuticle bit that I get from Amazon, which will be linked down below in the description. So now I will be using my sanding band to make sure I get very close around the cuticle area and remove all the shine off the natural nail plate, because that's going to cause your toenails to last a very long time. Now I will be using my young nail swipe to clean and dust off the nails, and this also going to dehydrate the nail. And once I'm done with that, I'm going to go ahead and go in with my Young Nails protein bond, and I'm going to apply this to the nail plate 2 times. The acrylic I will be using today is Young Nails Speed White, and I'm just going to go in with like a medium to small bead and place it on the nail plate. And I'm not going to flood the cuticle area, but you want to make sure your bead is kind of like dry enough, like not too dry but not too runny. So make sure you're adding like 2 or 3 drops of acetone into your monomer, and then before you place the bead on the nail plate, you're going to drain it out like on the napkin first a little bit, like tap it on the napkin so you could drain out some more of the monomer, and then go ahead and place it on the nail plate. So when you're working with acrylic toes, one thing I can say is do not work with runny acrylic. Like if you know that acrylic is going to be runny and the monomer is not good, like do not use it at all, because it's going to be a waste of time. Because when it comes down to acrylic toes, you want to aim for more of a drier bead, but not too dry enough where you can still mold the acrylic. That's the key to it. Like you want to mold and shape the acrylic to the square that you need. Or some people don't really like their toenails really square. Me, I personally love square toes, so I always make sure I do it like the perfect square. But when it comes down to the shaping and stuff, it's not so hard, because you know, of course, you're going to have your 80/80 grit nail file. But when it comes down to the application, and like I always tell you guys, the application is the most thing you want to focus on, because that's going to save you a lot of time in the long run. And also remember, the same way you do not want to flood the cuticle area, you do not want to flood the sidewalls. Like really like push that acrylic as far as you can from the sidewalls to make it square. So how I like to do it is I like to go by the shape and the size of the person's toenail. Like if they toenails, like you see how her toenails is like really short, like if her toenails was to be long, like I have to make it like it's a fake nail, so you want to make it look like her toes are perfect and square. But you don't want to flood the sidewalls. The sidewalls, you want to make sure you mold in the side in, because a lot of time people forget that. They forget the sidewalls, and then it be all flooded and all that acrylic stuck underneath there, and then water get trapped. It just be a mess. So make sure you're paying attention to your sidewalls as well. And also, you have to make sure you're practicing when you're doing this. Like practice on yourself, practice on your family members, because the acrylic toenails are it's not so difficult, but you have to know exactly what you're doing so you don't damage the client nail bits. So you see how like on somebody's natural nails is so long. Like, you have a lot of space to place the acrylic, and you're 9 times out of 10 you're using nail tips, or even if you're using forms, you have a lot of space to do what you have to do when you're applying acrylic. On acrylic toes, you don't have that much space. So you have to make sure you practice and watch a lot of tutorials, a lot of videos on different ways people do acrylic toes, and find what fits you and how you can do your acrylic toes. So I'm not gonna lie, the way I laid this acrylic on the big toe, I could have did better. Like, the bead was already a little too dry, and I was still trying to mold with it, but I should have just took it off and got another bead, because it made me do more work later on, and I had to like fix it to the way I like it. Now it's time for me to go ahead and drill and shape it. I like to automatically go ahead and shape the nail bit with my e-file, and then go ahead and at the end I go in with my nail file. Only because I like for my shape to have a very perfect shape, so I always do the hand file at the end. So if you notice, I'm going to go ahead and file it very thin as I can, where not thin enough where it's going to break, but thin enough where it's going to look natural. now I'm going to go ahead and use my 8080 grit nail file, which I get from Amazon, and that's going to be listed down below. And just to make sure I smooth out my nails and it's very even and nice and sharp, I like to go ahead and use that sanding band, get underneath the toenails, just make sure it's very thin and smooth. It's no leftover acrylic around the cuticle area. I'm going to go ahead and go in again with the young nail swipe just to make sure I clean off the nails and remove all that dust. And I'm going to be using my McCart rhinestone glue. And I'm going to go ahead and just put bling on the second toe. I should have used smaller diamonds. I feel like that would have been way cuter if I would have used like the really small tiny diamonds. But these came out cute anyways. It still came out cute, but I just wish I would have used the smaller diamonds. Comment down below and tell me what you guys think about this set, and don't forget to like and subscribe. This is how the final look came out. Thank you guys so much for watching, and see you guys later.